The Ottoman Empire's terrifying methods of punishment. A deep dive into brutality. The Ottoman Empire, one of the most formidable empires in history, is a land of rich culture, power, and, at times, horrific brutality. Among the most disturbing aspects of Ottoman rule were the extreme methods of punishment used to uphold order and assert authority. Though brutal by today's standards, these punishments were not uncommon in empires of the past, where the goal was not just to punish but to send a message to deter others from similar crimes. In this exploration, we'll delve into some of the most horrifying forms of punishment used in the Ottoman Empire, shining a light on the harsh realities of justice during the reign of the Ottomans. Eye gouging, a terrifying and public punishment. One of the most horrifying punishments in the Ottoman Empire was the gouging of eyes, often reserved for those who committed grave offenses against the state. It wasn't just about incapacitating the individual, it was also a public warning to others. According to Poena Cullei, a 17th-century Ottoman traveler and writer, eye gouging was sometimes carried out in public squares, where the condemned would be held down and their eyes extracted using sharp instruments. This ghastly act stripped individuals of their ability to see and fully participate in the world around them. For many, the loss of sight was considered a fate worse than death, amplifying the cruelty of this punishment. Decapitation. Swift justice with a dark message. Decapitation was another common and significant form of execution within the empire, particularly for those deemed threats to the state or guilty of severe treason. Executed with a swift blow of a sword or axe, it demonstrated the efficiency of the Ottoman Empire in administering justice. These executions often took place in public, drawing crowds to witness the end of the condemned. The public nature of decapitation served several purposes. It was a clear warning to others, a reminder of the consequences of defying the law, and a reinforcement of the Sultan's absolute power. One of the most historically significant decapitations in the Ottoman Empire was that of the rebel leader Sheikh Bedreddin. An ex-Ottoman judge and mystic, led a rebellion calling for social and economic reforms, gaining significant support from the peasants and disgruntled sectors of society. His rebellion, seen as a direct threat to the stability of the empire, was crushed, and despite his status as a religious scholar, the authorities had no choice but to execute him publicly. This decapitation, carried out in the city of Sizes, served as a stark warning to anyone who might challenge Ottoman dominance. Falaka, a public form of torture. Another widespread form of corporal punishment was falaka, which involved striking the soles of the feet with a stick or a rod. While it may seem less severe compared to other punishments, the pain inflicted by falaka was intense and could leave the victim unable to walk for days. The method was commonly used to discipline soldiers, slaves, and even students, and it was often carried out in public. The number of strikes varied depending on the severity of the offense. This punishment didn't leave visible scars, making it a preferred method for those who wanted to inflict pain without causing permanent physical damage. It was seen as a way to instill discipline and maintain order in the Ottoman military and society. Hanging, a clear and public warning. Hanging was another common form of execution in the Ottoman Empire, primarily used for crimes like murder, theft, and rebellion. These executions were typically carried out in public spaces, where the condemned would hang as a stark reminder of the consequences of criminal behavior. Sometimes, the Ottomans used variations of hanging, such as hooks or posts, which increased the brutality of the punishment. The intention behind hanging was to serve as retribution for the crime, and as a deterrent to others who might consider committing similar offenses. The public nature of hangings reinforced the state's power and its ability to enforce the law through lethal means. Amputation, a permanent reminder of crime. Amputation, especially of hands or feet, was a punishment reserved for thieves and those who committed acts of rebellion. This form of punishment was both physical and symbolic, designed to permanently incapacitate the offender and prevent them from committing further crimes. Amputations were carried out in public places, such as markets or squares, where the severity of the crime was highlighted by the severity of the punishment. The sight of a thief with a severed hand served as a powerful deterrent, reminding everyone of the consequences of breaking the law. In the Ottoman judicial system, amputation was viewed as a necessary measure to maintain order and protect property. Castration, a brutal and humiliating punishment. Castration was one of the most extreme forms of punishment in the Ottoman Empire, often used as retaliation against political enemies or for sexual crimes. This act was intended to strip the individual of their masculinity, thus diminishing their social status and power. The physical and psychological effects of castration were immense, as it robbed the individual of their ability to procreate and maintain their lineage. In the patriarchal society of the Ottoman Empire, this was seen as one of the most severe punishments that could be inflicted on a man. It was both a physical punishment and a profound social humiliation, reflecting the harshness of Ottoman justice. Impalement, the ultimate form of execution perhaps. The most infamous and horrifying method of execution in the Ottoman Empire was This gruesome method involved inserting a sharp stake through the body, usually starting from the rectum and exiting through the mouth or chest. Not only was this method extremely painful, but it also resulted in a slow, agonizing death that could last for hours or even days. Impalement was reserved for those who had committed the most heinous crimes, and it was often used as a tool of terror to suppress resistance and maintain control over the empire's vast territories. The most famous figure associated with impalement is Vlad the Impaler, though he was an enemy of the Ottomans, not a subject. However, the Ottomans themselves were not strangers to this brutal form of punishment, using it as a tool of terror to quell any opposition and maintain dominance over their empire. It served as both a physical and psychological weapon, sending a clear message to all who dared to defy Ottoman rule. Conclusion: a legacy of power and fear. The methods of punishment used in the Ottoman Empire were as varied as they were brutal. Each method served not only to punish the individual, but also to send a powerful message to society at large. These punishments were a reflection of the harsh realities of justice in an era when maintaining order often required extreme measures. As we reflect on these methods, we are reminded of the complexities of power, justice, and control in one of the most formidable empires in history. To explore more fascinating and often chilling aspects of history, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. This will ensure you never miss the opportunity to delve deeper into the past with us.